character are you trying to play next? Do you have your eye on the next kind of project like that?
No, I'm retired.
Is that it? It ends with you here?
This ends with me. I'm done.
I love it. How excited are you for your daughters to read these YA novels like Sisterhood one day?
That's a little more age appropriate.
Yeah.
When people come up to me and they're like, oh my God, my daughter loves Gossip Girl. I was like, she's 7. What is happening? So, you know, we got to get kids reading books. So, yeah.
That's what's so
Hi besties, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. Well, Blake Lively has taken on the internet. She has targeted 107 content creators, and her docket is becoming an embarrassing spectacle of what happens when someone can't accept that a smear campaign didn't happen and they need to chase down every last person to prove a theory that isn't real. And Lively has spent quite a bit of time in the past couple weeks fighting with content creators, but also with 2 members of the agency group, the PR company that's run by Melissa Nathan. Melissa Nathan has been working in the PR world for years and has been linked to people like Johnny Depp. And her company, the agency group, is actually funded by or backed by Scooter Braun. And one of Scooter Braun's businesses is one of her clients. Braun is a longtime adversary of who? Taylor Swift. And if that doesn't make things even weirder, 2 of her employees, one who's left and another who still works there, Katie Case and Brianna Koslow, are being targeted relentlessly by Blake recently in motions to compel. And she is claiming that the 2 of them have not been complying with discovery and that Blake is trying to get access to privileged conversations with their attorneys. And it's becoming a little bit convoluted because Jed Wallace provided some of the communications from this text thread that included Brian Friedman, though Brian is not actually in the conversation of those texts at the time and what he shared. And Brianna and Katie are being asked to break privilege and give up privileged conversations with their attorneys as they worked on litigation. And Blake's attorneys are arguing that neither one of them were suing anyone in August and in September of 24. And so therefore, their conversations with attorneys that were pre-litigation can't really be considered litigation because there was no claims to have counterclaims for. One of the things that has bothered me a lot about her targeting of these people is that Melissa Nathan, as a talent PR crisis person, she has a very low profile. You cannot find anything about her on the internet. And she doesn't post pictures. She doesn't have a social media presence. And she really is sort of in the background. And her employees are seemingly not wealthy by any means. These are women and men who likely don't make very much money, probably under $100,000 a year. And not to say that 100,000 isn't a lot. I'm just saying these are not multimillionaires. They are now forced to hire a lawyer and fight their battles for them on something they literally probably had nothing to do with. And recently, one of them, Brianna, who apparently was in the comments over on TikTok on a video by Not Actually Golden, and she shared some comments about what her experience has been like being targeted by Blake Lively. Now, I've attempted to verify if this is actually Bree, and I have a suspicion it is. I was able to forward it to someone that might be able to confirm, and let's just say they didn't deny it. So what they said was, "Hi, Bree Koslow here from TAG. I know this could backfire on me and subject me to more retaliation from Lively and the Jones parties, but being scared into silence since December 24 is no longer sitting well with me. I appreciate this page's commitment to fact-focused, unbiased breakdowns. There seems to be a lot of smart people following, which is why I feel compelled to write the below as mainstream media do not care about us. We opened our doors at TAG in early 24, after many of us worked for years with each other. We wanted to experience being out on our own, to have more autonomy over the work we did and collaborate with our team of women we love. We are a small female-funded company consisting of girls in their early 20s to established publicists with small families and babies. We are not powerful, rich, or in possession of unlimited resources to fight this battle. These overly broad subpoenas and what I personally feel has become a form of silencing via bullying and harassment through litigation. We worked on this account for 3 weeks last August. We did not pay content creators. We do not control TikTok. We did not take a bus across the country knocking on doors and asking people to make anti-Blake videos. The narrative that has been formed around us sounds like a bad movie. We do earned media, not digital warfare. It is my personal opinion that Lively's insistence that there is an ongoing smear campaign is another form of silencing us. When our baby team of women were falsely accused and essentially lit on fire on the front page of the New York Times, you better believe we were and are still fighting for our lives, our reputation, our careers, and the future of our kids who do not have millionaire parents. The fact that we are now being asked to hand over privileged communications following the attempted destruction of our company is unbelievable. It is my personal belief and opinion that Stephanie Jones is the catalyst behind all of this, as I strongly and personally believe she lied to Blake and her publicist that we use bots, which is categorically untrue. And to be honest, if I were Blake, I may have started to believe that too, as the internet did get crazy last August. It started to feel icky. I do not take light in the bashing of other women, but it was not us, and it should be clear that what backfired against Lively were her own quotes, her interviews, her statements, and mixed with the fairly new uncharted territory of TikTok and viral videos. We feel hopeless and defeated. We have received death threats. My 2-year-old cried hysterically, crying because an aggressive process server was pounding on our door. Enough is enough. This whole situation has attempted to take down a whole of women, and no one is talking about this. So they're adamant that they don't use bots. They're adamant that they did not get anyone to make videos. They are adamant that this is the byproduct of what has become the internet, where viral videos go viral and people end up getting views based on algorithms, and the topic was rewarded via the algorithm. And you really, in this day and age, don't have to manipulate the algorithm much to get something trending. I mean, Blake's behavior during the promotion of the It Ends With Us, and you added in Colleen Hoover's huge activated fan base and how disappointed they were and how the film was being promoted. It was a perfect storm. They had already, Colleen's own fans had already lashed out at her when she attempted to create a coloring book based on It Ends With Us. This was a fan base that was not shy to call out anything Colleen Hoover that they did not agree with. And it was a book that had sold more than 10 million copies, largely in the young adults genre. And because of that, you had a massive 20-somethings on TikTok talking about it. And then videos got shared. And then people found more interviews of what she was saying, and it spiraled. I do think that, and I've said all along that I think that Stephanie Jones is somehow behind some of this. And I don't know if Stephanie Jones is fully to blame, because Blake had an idea in her mind that this was bots before Stephanie had ever said anything. In her own amended complaint, she claimed that she was texting the cast and saying that she couldn't believe all the bots that were in her comments and that everything was just so wild and she couldn't understand. And, she was already blaming the smear campaign before Stephanie said anything or provided anything to her. And I think that maybe when she got the contents of Jen's phone, it's something called confirmation bias. When you think something is something, even though it's not, you'll look for any evidence that confirms that it is. And if you don't want to take responsibility at all for what you've done and you think you've done no wrong, what better way than to, blame elusive bots? And then add in the fact that you have WME and Ryan and his marketing companies known to use bots and do, clickbait and mass clicking of videos in order to get engagement. And if you have a husband that's doing that and a talent agency that's doing that, and maybe some of the PR companies do that, I've heard that Stephanie Jones might have alleged to have used bots or use people to create fake accounts to leave comments of people that she's mad at, allegedly. And I think we saw quite a bit of an uptick once Justin's lawsuit was dismissed. We started to see a lot of anti-comments about different creators. And it really did seem like some of these comments that showed up in Reddit were specifically trying to seed division between content creators and try to go after credibility of people. I was one of those targeted, and many of us have been. And to a degree, some of that conversation and some of those, comments and threads that got started on Reddit have sown doubt and seeded feuds between creators for sure. And then Blake subpoenaing everyone has weakened that already fragile connection many of the creators had. And so, that's when you start to see infighting. And I think that it would be fair to assume that both Blake and Ryan, along with WME and Stephanie Jones, would be sophisticated enough to do this on their own. And that if they are, familiar with the use of bots, they might be suspicious that other people are doing it to them. Now, they're claiming that they just do what's called earned media. And that certainly could very well be true for Tag, because obviously Tag is just crisis PR, right? They're not there for doing digital content, and they don't have a digital bot army. In order to have help with social media, Tag had to hire or subcontract that out to Jed Wallace. And his strategy, I don't know that it had anything to do with bots. Quite honestly, I really don't know. According to what he proposed to Wayfair via an unsealed email from Katie Case to Jen Abel and Jamie Heath and Brianna from August 7th of 2024, Jed's scope of what his plans were and what his proposal was, it doesn't say much about Blake at all. A lot of this has to do with SEO and managing SEO. And the social and digital elements was focusing on SEO efforts. So it says, I hope everyone is well. Following up on the social digital conversation this morning with specifics re social and digital mitigation and remediation. So that's not social combat and it's not social retaliation. The team will focus on social and digital elements, boosting SEO efforts, and updating with new content to enforce SEO efforts, monitoring and directly influencing forums that are working against Justin and Wayfair to adjust the narrative in real time, and collate assets and background to work in conjunction with Jen and her team, as well as Tag PR. Thus far, nothing says anything about Blake Lively. The integral part here is to execute all without fingerprints. I don't know why this is important, but what she claimed they were going to do from a digital standpoint was monitor and report forums, threads, sites, links, and more that are working against Wayfair Studios, Justin, and the overall narrative, as well as derogatory comments. That seems fair. They want to protect their film. Leverage relationships with Discord, Reddit, X, IG, and TikTok, YouTube to expose behavior of Blake and other parties, both current and past, and engage directly with communities to adjust or influence the conversations taking place in real time. Exposing behavior of Blake. Interesting. Utilize CTR manipulation and contextual links to push up positive PR to change the subject matter or opinion on the first page of Google. Work to remove links that are harmful to Wayfair Studios, Justin, and the narrative alongside the appropriate teams. Disavow and report outdated or cached non-relevant links and clean up spam or negative links that are ranked within the SERPs as needed. Properly and strategically monitor damaging Reddit, subreddit, X, or Discord, including threads related to concerning opposition, and manage the narrative. This can be done with legacy admin for each platform. As part of this, expert admins will also monitor and protect peripheral elements like Wikipedia, fan pages, and more to ensure threads and narratives are handled appropriately. So I guess Jed could have made sure that people weren't adding things to Wikipedia or fan pages or, making sure that the content that was added wasn't negative. CTR manipulation, that's a weird one. That's generally bots or it's manipulating the click-through rate on a page by having mass bots click on a link so that content that is positive, it's like amplifying and boosting content inorganically. So that was for legacy media or, earned media, like articles that are written about him. I don't know if they could have done similar like that to videos and added likes. I have no idea. But CTR manipulation, that's shady. I don't really like that. And it's just not fair because it's manipulating the click-through rate and it's giving likes to things that aren't actually organic. So I don't know if Jed did that at all. He could have. He claims he didn't, though. Actively sway the algorithm with one SEO charged hub site created and overseen by the team, taking down full Reddit and all social accounts as needed, organically engaging with audience in the right way, starting threads with theories the team approves of, and asking questions that no longer place Wayfair and Justin on the back foot, and changing the overall narrative and helping keep it on track. Now, here's the thing. He was brought in on the 8th or 9th, and he very well may not have needed to do any of this because by the time they were brought in, socials were already so anti-Blake at this point that they would not have needed to manipulate anything because by the time they were hired, this was already in full swing. The film had already premiered. She had made comments on the red carpet. She was acting a fool in interviews. She was dismantling her life all on her own. And the fans of the book were outraged. So I really don't think they needed to do any of this. The social teams are now worried about Blake activating the Taylor Swift fan base, which is a major concern. With this in mind, and to ensure Justin and the studio are 100% protected and moving forward, they are now changing the fee to $30,000 per month due to the uptick in social chatter. I do think it's a little bit shady that he increased the cost of his product and his monthly fee just because of Taylor Swift. That's a little bit unethical. But PR experts are saying that this is a pretty standard price. I still think it's a ripoff. And the fact that Jed claims he didn't do anything for them and you paid him $30,000 a month, that's the only part of it that gets to me. Like, so what did you do, Jed? If all you did was passively monitor, why didn't you just quit? Like, if you weren't working, because he claimed he had a team. He told Wayfair in emails that he had a team. And then he has an affidavit in court and says that he doesn't have a team. Like, it was just him. So did he have a team or did he not have a team? Jed still remains elusive to me. I still don't believe they ran a social media narrative because they didn't have to. It was already happening by the time they were even hired and brought in. But none of that suggests that there really was anything that was happening, no sort of smear campaign. Leverage relationships with Discord, Reddit, XIG, TikTok, and YouTube to expose behavior of Blake and other parties. They probably didn't even have to do that because honestly, it happened on its own. I feel for Bree and Katie. I feel like they're being maligned and indirectly just completely targeted by Blake. And, if Blake is so worried about a smear campaign, it's just wild that she would do a lawsuit to amplify a situation that's already out of control, putting a microscope on it, creating what's like a Streisand effect, where a topic that was large, but it becomes bigger when it's like focused on, which is why you're supposed to ignore negative press. It's just, if you focus on negative press about you or about your client in general, it amplifies the situation, which is why oftentimes celebrities don't comment on negative articles. But in this case, she has created the Streisand effect now, and she's expecting this to die down, and it's only activated people even more. And she has targeted so many people and gone after so many women and is trying to destroy a female-based business. She went after almost exclusively women that were content creators outside of a couple guys, Perez and Andy, that I know of. I don't know of any other guys that were hit up by her through the content creators other than those two men. Most of them are women. And so you have to start to ask yourself, are you really for women when you are going after women? I don't know. Another woman that's in the middle of this is Isabella Ferrer, and apparently Wayfair is trying to serve her, and they're not having any luck. And they have recently just filed a request to the court to attempt to serve her alternatively, because her attorney, who had let them know he was representing her in the situation, will not accept service for her. So their attorneys are saying that Miss Ferrer is a witness to facts surrounding the claims and defenses during the relevant time period, and she played a role of young Lily Bloom on the set of It Ends With Us. And her attorneys let them know in July that he was representing her in connection with this dispute. And Wayfair Counsel tried to subpoena them on July 3rd, and we're on the 12th now, and she hasn't been served yet. They've apparently gone to a couple addresses for her, and they have been unable to. And so they're seeking the request of nail and mail service, email, telephone, and by service upon her counsel for the pendency of this action. So they're seeking alternative service. And I don't see why they wouldn't be able to get this, because he has granted the same thing for Blake for alternatively servicing other people in connection with this case. And it looks like what they're seeking from her isn't a ton. It's just 7 requests for production. It's all documents relating to any discriminatory, harassing, retaliatory, inappropriate, or unwelcome action, conduct, or statement made during the production, editing, or promotion of the film. Discriminatory, harassing, retaliatory, inappropriate, or unwelcome action, conduct, or statement made during the production, editing, or promotion of the film. It doesn't say by who, it says any. Now, what's their definition? They always have relating to shall be interpreted broadly and includes, but is not limited to the following meanings: containing, constituting, recording, discussing, mentioning, noting, evidencing, memorializing, analyzing, describing, commenting upon, pertaining to, concerning to. It doesn't say pertaining to Wayfair, it just says any. Okay. All documents relating to any complaint, grievance, or report, whether formal or informal, oral, or written, of harassment, discrimination, retaliation, workplace misconduct, or any other inappropriate conduct, or statements made by any person during the production, editing, or promotion of the films. It doesn't say, it's weird because it's not saying like directed at them, it's just any. All documents relating to any intimate scenes in the film. All communications between you and Lively relating to the film, any Wayfair defendant and the action, all documents produced in connection with any subpoenas in this action. So if she received a subpoena from Blake, all communications relating to Baldoni, and all communications relating to Heath. I think because Blake has claimed that other women have felt uncomfortable and will be her witnesses, they're trying to tease out if Isabella is one of the witnesses here. But that seems like kind of vague, but they have a right to seek this information, and it's up to her attorneys to decide if it's too vague or too not vague. But she's apparently not been served yet, and they want to talk to her because Blake has said that there's other women from the set that, will testify to unwelcome and harassing behavior. So that could be to their defense to see what Isabella has told her, or if she's told her anything at all. So Isabella has been avoiding service, and her attorney has gone dark and will not respond. And they sent the subpoena on the 3rd. Jason Sunshine sent an email telling Isabella that, can you please confirm if she can accept this? And then he said, following up here, please confirm by the close of business day that you accept service, or will have no choice but to proceed with process servers. They didn't respond. And then they tried to serve her in Brooklyn, and then they tried to serve her in Sag Harbor. And it's interesting because Isabella actually deleted all of her photographs with Blake on her Instagram. So I don't know where she stands. I mean, Isabella could be like a lot of people in this situation and they don't want anything to do with it. And I don't view Isabella as someone that likely was there to go against anyone. I think she had someone with a lot of influence and celebrity, perhaps, feeding her bad information about people. But Isabella comes from a family of actors and actresses. She's actually related to George Clooney, and her dad was an actor. And, I just think that she has probably people around her that are guiding her and trying to keep her out of this as much as possible. And it sounds like the attorney might have given an address in Brooklyn that wasn't her address. And then they went to Sag Harbor and there was no one there. So they're trying to get a hold of her. So we'll see what the judge says, but Isabella is on notice that they are looking for her. This whole case is just such a mess. And I feel bad for all of the people that are getting dragged into this, whether it's the people that were simply, cast in the film, or it's the PR companies, or it's the content creators. Everything is collateral damage here. And it's Blake that put this entire thing in motion. And to be clear, I'm not anti Jed Wallace. I just don't love that kind of PR even exists. I hate that there's even a need for this kind of PR. And I hate to think that there's celebrities that would artificially add links and click on things to have their stuff pop up in SEO. But I know that's what they do. It's just, I still don't like seeing it on paper. And I'll say that for across the board. Like, I think that Blake's CIE team is doing exactly all of those things to Justin right now. Absolutely. I think that WME absolutely helped run a smear campaign. I think that bots have been going crazy against in our comments and trying to sow doubt and get us fighting and get people to not trust people and pro Blake people. And, I think the manipulation is more on Blake's side than anything else. And Jed has said that he did not do this. But my question to Jed is, if he didn't have a team, why did he tell Wayfair that he did? And I've said that before. So did he have a team and he misrepresented it? Or did he not need to use a team because of what happened? I think it's maybe that he didn't have to use a team. But either way, that's what I have for right now. Blake attacks women. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, bestie.